I thought go back and revisit this. It's kind of crazy. When I first watched this, I was a fan of Candice and didn't really know who Nick was. Now I can't stand Candice, and Nick is a G. But yeah, this is kind of, I've skipped the beginning. I'll link the original. We'll probably get taken down to no, but it's just basically Nick telling his story. This is the bit where it gets confrontational, and they start talking about their kind of, I guess, beef that was going on at the time. But yeah, let's go.
I know that recently, and this was after I was fired from the Daily Wire, you kind of went on the attack about me speaking to Dave Smith, right? And saying, actually, I think we do have that clip. Skylar, I think we do have that clip of me speaking to Dave Smith. Do you want to run that clip?
She has nothing to do with me. She wants nothing to do with me. Doesn't do anything with me. No invitation. Won't bring me on the space. Won't bring me on the show. No acknowledgement. Nothing. But she is going to do a show with Dave Smith, Jew.
This is actually one of the first. This is one of the first things I watched where I thought Candice actually looked bad in this, and Nick looked good. And one of the things that I liked about Nick straight away was that when he watches himself, he nods and laughs and just agrees with himself. It's hilarious.
No acknowledgement, nothing. But she is going to do a show with Dave Smith, Jew, Aiden Ross. You know, and I like Aiden Ross. I've said that before. I like Aiden Ross. But it's like you get canceled and attacked by Jews, and then you go and give it away to all the Jews, really? And finally, Aiden asks her, so what are your thoughts on Nick Fuentes? And she gives this load of PC response. She goes, well, you know, when he was a kid, he got attacked by them, and I understand why he would be angry and why he would be mad about that, but he needs to grow up and figure out what he wants to do. Oh, really? Oh, really? Bafangul, Candace. Oh, he needs to figure out what he wants to do. I think you need to figure that out. Talk about accusing other people of that which you are guilty. I think he needs to figure out what he wants to do. I think you need to figure out what you want to do, because you're full of and everyone knows it. You clearly have no idea what you're doing.
No idea what I am doing.
True.
What do you mean true?
You didn't invite me on the show.
But what does that, just let's first go back to the first layer of what you're talking about. She's speaking of Dave Smith. Yeah. What does that have to do with anything? You call out the fact that I spoke to Dave Smith, that I spoke to Aiden Ross. I didn't speak to them because they were Jewish. I also talked to Piers Morgan, all of these shows following me being fired. So you're just looking at the fact that these two, I didn't even know Aiden Ross was Jewish. I just had a PR agent say, do this. I swear I didn't know.
He's visibly Jewish.
Okay, but just so we're very clear.
No, I know.
I genuinely had no idea. Your PR person comes, here are the shows. Okay, yes. Dave Smith, we had amazing conversation when I was on the Daily Wire.
Mm-hmm.
And so your purview here is, okay, well, they're Jewish and she's doing their shows while not saying to your audience she's doing a bunch of other shows too. How is that not you just kind of honing in before we get to the why you think I'm full of and don't know what I'm doing?
Well, here's the beef, okay? And it's pretty simple. Dave Smith, in my opinion, and I like Dave because I've done a show with Dave too, and I think he's a good guy. I respect him. I think he's super intelligent. And, you know, he gave me a chance when a lot of people wouldn't. He had me on his show, and he defended me because he got attacked a lot from the libertarians.
And that's why you suck, because you get somebody who comes out and defends you and has you on the show when you're being canceled, and then you throw him under the bus for, because, like, I don't even know what your beef is. It's like, why not just have be totally like, oh, yeah, that was cool. We had a conversation. I disagree with him on some points.
Well, here's why. Because I don't think that I should be grateful for being given a chance.
It's not being grateful. It's just being a decent enough human being. Forget gratefulness.
Okay.
You don't owe anybody anything.
Okay.
But the point is you kind of lament the fact that you've been canceled. You lament the fact when nobody will have your platform. And in the very same breath, talk about being a hypocrite, you're going after Dave Smith for what? Like, why is she doing Dave Smith? Jew.
Well, I'll tell you. Can I explain why? I'm telling you why.
You can.
So my feeling on Dave Smith, and although I like him, is that
look, he is Jewish. He's also a libertarian, which means that, you know, when he talks about, for example, the situation in Iran or Israel, he's an anti-war guy. He says, you know, Trump is a war criminal who needs to be impeached. I don't believe in any of that. I don't care that Trump violated international law. I care that he's influenced by a foreign government. He said on another show, he said, Israel's a satellite of the U.S. We're the empire, and they're our satellite. They're like our aircraft carrier in the Middle East, which is something Joe Biden said, who's an AIPAC man. I think that Dave Smith is somebody who, because he's a paleo-libertarian, like Murray Rothbard, like Ron Paul, like a lot of these guys, he is someone who, because he's anti-war, is sort of forced to confront the Israel lobby. Because if you're anti-war ideologically, you have to talk about who's driving it, which is the Israel lobby. But he's not a religious Christian. He's a religious Jew or agnostic or atheist. He's not really a right-wing guy. He's a libertarian. He's
not a religious Jew.
He says that he's proud of being Jewish. He's proud of his ethnicity. He's proud of Judaism.
Should he not be proud that he's he's just born this way?
Well, but here's the point, though, is so he's not really 100% aligned with my view. Now, here's why that matters. I think that
it doesn't.
No, it does.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. I'll tell you why.
It doesn't. You can't say I want to create people in the image of myself.
No, but
That's
I'm
completely ridiculous.
I'm criticizing people that I disagree with. And to put it very succinctly, I think that this conversation about Israel has blown up. It's gotten out of their control. Everyone's getting red-pilled. They want to control the conversation. And I think that Dave Smith is somebody that, because he's Jewish, because he's libertarian, they have selected him as a convenient spokesperson for it, because he doesn't really have a problem with Jews and their Jewishness. He doesn't really talk about the whole fifth column aspect of it. He talks about a very narrow aspect of it, which is there's this Israel lobby and they're sort of influential and they're driving us to war. That's one small selection of it.
So you think, just to clarify, you think he's like a psychological operation?
Yeah, effectively, yes. Okay. And I don't think he's doing that knowingly, but I think,
and I'm not even on the anti-Israel side, but I think so is Candice Owens. I think that about Dave Smith too. Like, I think Ian Carroll's there's a lot of people that have all of a sudden been just plucked out of nowhere as these big bastions. I mean, Candice Owens literally has just finished working for Jews and Jews, like back to back, Jew and Jew. Now all of a sudden she's anti-Jew and she just says crazy conspiracy things. Whereas Nick Fuentes is actually someone who is actually researched on the topic, knows what he's talking about, and has been doing this whilst people like Candice Owens have been getting paychecks from Jews. Now all of a sudden, these people are controlling something that Nick has been talking about for years and doing it dumbly. Like, you've actually got to the point where you're having that conversation and it's been taken over by loons instead of someone who's actually logical and factual. And like I say, I'm not even, to be honest, I could give a fuck about Israel. That's an American issue. I'm gonna be real. It's really not a big deal here. We have no link to them really whatsoever. It's your deal. Like, I know and I understand the side of it, but anyway, let's go around.
They're creating the bounds of the debate by having him be the spokesperson, because
who is choosing him as a spokesperson? I mean,
Joe Rogan,
I could not disagree with that more. I just want to say that I patently disagree with you on this one. This is crazy. I think that he has moved the ball forward so much for, first and foremost, a lot of American Jews to have the courage to even question Israel, because in the same way that we were kind of brought up in the classroom with the, I guess you want to call it, emotional engineering around the Holocaust, learning about the Holocaust as like the biggest, most evil event that ever happened. Imagine if you're Jewish and you learn about that. It's the same way that Black Americans in the classrooms learn about slavery. So I understood the trigger emotional response that Black Americans had during BLM, because there was so much conditioning that happened in the classroom that makes them think that when someone says white supremacy is back, you have to riot. And I will extend that same understanding. Mm-hmm. I disagree with it, but I understand that when October 7th happens, it's almost like a childhood trauma for these people. Right. You learn this, your whole existence, it's existential crisis for you that something happened in Israel. And then you add in the fact that the ADL is sponsoring these trips to kind of make sure that they stay into this, this is who you are. And if somebody questions this, like we could end up in the Holocaust again. You have to have some sort of an understanding, even if they're wrong,
Right.
you have to give them a little bit of time, a little bit of grace here. And so for him to be doing what he's doing and to be enduring a lot of the same stuff that I'm enduring, like he is on lists, he is being attacked by every single all people that are attacking me are certainly attacking Dave Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And your excuse is that he just is born Ashkenazi.
No, that's not my excuse. My problem
and he's married
is
to a Catholic, by the way. So that
him.
That's the part that I'm even more confused about, because you said like he's a religious Jew. No, he's not. He's married to a Catholic.
What I mean by that is my criticism of Jews comes from a religious place. As a Catholic, we recognize that the Pharisees put Jesus on the cross, and the Talmudic Jews are the descendants of the Pharisees. And we also recognize...
And he is not a Talmudist. That's what I want to say.
But that's
he's
what I'm
not
saying.
any of those things. He's married to a Catholic.
Okay.
He's just born Ashkenazi.
But
so when I hear you say Dave Smith, Jew,
okay,
I think it conflicts with your point about how even white people, like you're just kind of trained that you should just like there's something wrong with you for being born white. No one should feel guilty about how they're born.
Look, it's
like, you know what I mean?
To sum it up succinctly, it's tokenism is what it is. It's a form of saying, we're criticizing the Jews in Israel. How do we soften and dampen the blow? Because we're going to get called anti-Semites if we bring on a guy criticizing Israel. I know we'll bring on a Jewish person, because then we get to say, I'm not an anti-Semite. Here's a Jewish person saying this. And here's the reason.
That's not why I had Dave Smith on. Actually, I had him on my
kind of what Candice was for the black thing and the conservative thing. She filled that role of there's no real black conservative, and she come out and how can I be racist for criticizing it on black? BLM, I mean.
Cast before I even left the Daily Wire. We had a 3-hour conversation.
Also, I want to go back to her point. She kind of has a point with Jews, because the Bible is right. They are a nation. It is a nation, but they are an ethnicity. They are a religion. But you get Jews that are like left-wing Jews. Like, you can be born ethnically, your ethnicity is Jewish, without ever being raised up. But they will come up, like if you have any Jew trace in your blood, it will come up. Look, Jewish, there is a certain genetic that's theirs. So they are like just an ethnicity, really. But they are also a religion, and that's kind of what is the point of them. And they are a nation, but...
Actually, I had him on my podcast before I even left the Daily Wire. We had a 3-hour conversation about talking about war, and truly, because I think it's important for you to hear this. I think sometimes you internet too hard. The way that Dave Smith came onto our podcast on Daily Wire, he wasn't even on my radar. Skylar, who you just met, the producer, was a massive Dave Smith fan for years. And just kind of like what the libertarian debate was that was being had. He's like, you got to check out this guy, Dave Smith. I was like, cool, book him. Let's get him on the show. And it was my favorite podcast that I did at Daily Wire.
Mm-hmm.
So I just liked him.
Okay.
That's it. There was no incentive of like, well, let me get this guy on again. I was like, can we create the magic of what we spoke about war? Because I'm kind of falling, I guess, down the rabbit hole and learning a lot. And he had a lot of information I didn't know.
Yeah.
And that was it. So there was nothing behind it. So when I hear you say it, I'm like, okay, are you interneting too hard? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit. Do you think that you can kind of believe your own ideas? And look, we're all guilty of that.
No, and look, I mean, I'm going to stand by my point here, which is that me and Dave Smith are not ideologically on the same page, and will never be, because I am a Catholic and he is Jewish. Because he is Jewish, he still has affinity with Jewish people. And so my end game is to say, look, Thomas Aquinas said that Jewish people should be basically enserfed to the Catholic Church. I don't believe that. But the idea that we have Jewish people in America that are billionaires, that are running all the major media conglomerates, that are influencing the government, and they take advantage of the dual citizenship, it literally cannot be allowed. Like by definition, systematically or systemically, this creates problems. And so when I go on my show, I'm saying we can't have Jewish people in government. Like, we can't have them having billions of dollars. This is a problem. It's like a national security problem, because they are a fifth column. And as evidenced by recent developments, they're not loyal to America. Now,
I agree with you, and that's why I want to add this.
See, I'd disagree with that. Like I say, Jews run as much of a scope as any other ethnicity does. like not every Jew like you can have a Jew who, like, we have British Jews. They haven't, well, now they do because they're getting attacked by Muslims here. But you have British Jews, you have American Jews, where they have no interest in being in it. I can understand, like, and I understand what he's saying, that they are a foreign nation. It's kind of tricky because we're having this argument here at the moment that no one should be in parliament unless you've got at least one English genetics, like actual English genetics from an English person. One of your parents is English. That you should be removed if you're completely foreign. So I suppose it's kind of, but the Jews is they're kind of a weird. They are a weird group of people. Because, like I say, you've got British Jews here that are British, like they're English, Scottish, whatever. So it's like they have no real. But I suppose you're going to have a kind of I don't know. It is a tricky one with the Jews. It's like, but they do. I can see what Nick Fuentes is saying. They do run. Like I say, you get left-wing Jews that are completely anti the Israel thing and are on the side of Palestine, basically. But I suppose the truth is when push comes to shove, who you going to side with? And I suppose in a way America's looking at it with Muslims, the Muslims being in. Anyway, let's carry on.
I agree with you on the point that there is this operating fifth column of Zionism.
No.
Okay? No, but I want to be clear, and I'll tell you,
Okay.
this is where we disagree.
All right.
Because I think it's ridiculous to say to someone who's literally just born, he's like, I'm Ashkenazi, that is just his DNA, who is married to a Catholic, so you cannot call him a religious Jew. He is not a Zionist. He hasn't even been to Israel. So how do you just condemn him? And then also, how is that not toxic to what you're trying to do? So if you're saying that your entire platform is, I want to awaken people to this fifth column. Well, if I'm a Jewish person, okay, and I'm being raised and maybe I'm worried about Israel because I kind of grew up and was told that I have to care about this because of the Holocaust, whatever it is. And I see this guy who's just going, Jew, guilty, you're a Jew, doesn't matter, DNA, like you're 23andMe up there, Jew, guilty, okay? And you think that your ideas are going to grow with that perspective?
Well, they are. So that's happening. But
is that because of thanks to you or thanks to Dave? I
think it's thanks to me. But if you're asking me, I will answer. If you're lecturing me, I'll take the lecture.
I genuinely want to. I'm asking you the question sincerely. You think it's growing because of you and not because of people like Dave who are going, okay, like, yeah, you can also think like this. It's okay to have this perspective. Like, you think it's because they're watching your show and they're going, he's got it right.
Let me give you a direct answer about the first part about Dave Smith. Just because he's born Jewish. What did he say when he went on Joe Rogan and he debated, what's the guy's name? He debated the British guy, forget
Douglas Murray.
Douglas Murray. When he debated Douglas Murray said, and you hear this is the woke right phenomenon, which Dave has criticized, but Douglas said, there is this dark element that is growing on the right. They're Holocaust deniers. They hate Jews. If they slip on a banana peel, they blame a Jew and all the rest of it. Dave Smith said, I agree with you. Those people are a problem. I'm against Holocaust denial and all this sort of stuff. Joe Rogan went on the attack against Jake Shields, who's a friend of mine and a fighter and a boxer. And you see this over and over and over again with people like Dave Smith and even someone like Daryl Cooper, who's not Jewish. And I talked to Daryl recently and we kind of made amends, but Daryl Cooper put out an article on a Substack saying the same thing. He said, I started talking about the Jews. I opened up this can of worms. Now that's all people want to hear about. He said, so I'm done talking about it because, there's people that can't handle it and they're taking it too far. And when I hear that from Daryl Cooper, when I hear that from Dave Smith, when they say Israel's our satellite, our aircraft carrier, I say something's not right here. There's clearly a subtle difference here. And that has a lot to do with, maybe Daryl Cooper not being a complete radical. And I think that has a lot to do with Dave Smith being Jewish because he says that his ancestors died in the Holocaust. Now, I don't think that he'll ever be able to say in the way that I can, that maybe the Holocaust wasn't legitimate or, maybe there's more to the story on World War II because it's his grandparents.
Okay, but
he says my ancestors went up the the smokestacks at Auschwitz. And someone like me, I say, I don't care about Auschwitz. I don't care about the Holocaust. I'm done hearing about it. I have no affinity with that.
Right. But you also mentioned Daryl Cooper and you also mentioned Joe Rogan. These two people are not Jewish, right?
Right.
I have to say as well, I mean, the whole Israel thing, like I say, is a very American thing. It's not really a big deal here. We got taught about the Holocaust, but nothing where the Holocaust was an Israel. Well, we never really learned anything about Israel, to be honest. Right? Things I've learned of Israel has been recently. We learned about the Holocaust at school, but we learned about it just as part of World War II. We didn't learn about what happened to. But there does seem in America to be a join-in of the Holocaust is, and I know there is a join-in because it's the thing, but it's not as it wasn't served together at all. Like I say, we didn't. I don't know. Didn't know shit about Israel until earlier, until recently. Yeah, I think that's a very American thing that you can't question Israel because of the Holocaust. It's like that. That's not something that is anywhere else. I don't think. Definitely not here. Like I said, we learned about the Holocaust. We learned it was terrible and all the things that happened. But yeah, anyway.
So are you saying that they're all condemned? Like, why does it matter? If Dave Smith, maybe he believes that, maybe he's wrong, maybe he believes it, who knows? If Joe Rogan says that, maybe he's wrong, maybe he believes it. Let's say we don't know. Daryl Cooper, what is the difference between these three individuals? Like, why?
I'll tell you the difference is because you've got all of the right-wing movement, except a few. Matt Walsh isn't doing it. But like, all of the right-wing movement is pointing at Nick Fuentes and saying, this isn't us. Ben Shapiro put a thing. Nick Fuentes hates women. Shows a clip of Nick Fuentes saying something bad about women. Nick Fuentes hates black people, brown people, and just about anybody else that isn't white. Here's a clip. And it's like, the right is separating itself and pushing Nick away and letting in people like, well, not so much Candice now, she's definitely on the outside, but Dave Smith and these people, yeah, bring them onto the debate, but not Nick. When Nick is the OG anti-Israel, most informed, this is what he is, this is what he does. So it's like,
why is one represent a problem for you versus like your idea, going back to what you said, right? Let's tackle the idea. Let's actually debate the idea. So do you not see how you run into conflict with yourself? You're like, well, here's my story. I just wanted to debate the idea. And then when it comes to Dave Smith, rather than saying, I disagree with what you just said about whatever topic, saying that there is this strand, let's actually have the debate because the better idea will win. That's how my brain works.
Yeah, well, here's why. Because this is another form of gatekeeping. When Joe Rogan says, okay, you're cool. Dave Smith is cool. But Jake Shields, he's a Holocaust denier. That's not cool. That's dark and evil and real anti-Semitism. You hear that all the time. They say, are you like a Dave Smith guy or are you a real anti-Semite? Because you know what they say? If you're a real anti-Semite, you're out of the club. You don't get invited on the show. You know, Piers Morgan won't have me on the show. He banned me. Tim Pool banned me. Joe Rogan banned me. And it's like, wait a second. So, you know, clearly some people are able to go on these shows and express some form of the view, which is, again, like what you're saying, there's this Israel lobby. But if you go out and say, you know what, 6 million, I'm not buying it. You know, I think this is a political narrative. I think it's atrocity propaganda serving a fifth column. Suddenly they say, well, that's real anti-Semitism. We want nothing to do with that. You know, you remain outside. And so, and look, it's not to me about, you know, people then say, oh, well, you're envious. Look, I love doing my show. I love doing what I do. I want the real truth to prevail. And there's this concept of a limited hangout. This is a CIA tool, and I'm sure you've heard of it, but for your audience that maybe hasn't, when they believe that disclosure is inevitable, a secret, a taboo, hidden narrative that they don't want to get out, when it's inevitable that it is going to go out, what they will do is they will leak out some of the truth. The public is so enamored with the new information, they go no further, and they actually don't get to the critical details. And I think that, you know, we're basically at that point with the Israel lobby and the Jewish topic. Clearly something is going on.
So you're just distrusting, and that's fine to say that you're distrusting.
No, well, I'm distrusting
I
naturally.
just
No, I even put it in a way that's different from Jews. If it was me, let's say, I'm English, I go to America, somehow I get into American government. Now I can sit and say till I'm blue in the face that I love America. I moved here, but the truth is I'm English. This is really my home. This is really who I'm loyal to. This is where my family is. This is where I'm like here. This is my home. So it's like if I'm in American government, in a position in American government, and there's going to be something that is beneficial to America, but is going to somehow affect um, England, then there's going to be out of instinct and base feeling in me something to go against that, something to push against that. I can fully see why countries don't want foreign people in their government because you're always going to have a loyalty to somewhere else. And it's not that Dave Smith is a Jew, therefore he can't be trusted. It's that you're always going to have the reflex of to defend the Jews. Like I can see what Nick is saying here. Like I say, it's the same as anywhere else. I would be the same. Like I can sit there and say I love America and America's the greatest thing in the world and yeah, yeah. Truth is I don't see myself as American, I see myself as English. It's like and in the back of my mind, whether you even do it knowingly, I might with all the best of intentions not have that in my heart, but you're going to well, one, the chance for you to actually implement your own um preference into things like which you shouldn't have anyway, but it's like it's going to be, even if you mean to or not, it's going to the instinct, the reflex is going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine to, and you are correct, by the way, that there are these operations where they do these limited hangouts, and I'm very aware of that. That is true. And sometimes I have that in my mind when I'm watching something. I'm like, this feels like a limited hangout. Like they're not really kind of getting to the nucleus of the conversation. But I just really disagree with you that like just Dave is just guilty and condemned simply because he's born
I didn't say
Ashkenazi.
because he's Jewish.
Went well in the clip. I think you just went like Dave Jew, and it's like, what does it matter? Dave Joe Rogan.
Yeah, but this is like he just sat there and explained why, but she's just not listening. She's just going about, well, you're just saying because he's a Jew. It's like, no, it's not because he's a Jew. It's like America's doing the same thing with Muslims. In a minute. That you have that, what's that Muslim woman? You have the other guy who said to America they're not welcome in his thing. Like, and you realize that if you have foreign people in positions of power in your country, they're going to work not on behalf of the people of the country because that's not who they are loyal. Like, and Dave Smith, as much as he can sit there and criticize Israel, he's not criticizing Israel from a position of criticizing Jews and Israel. He's criticizing them from a position of war. He doesn't like war. If they wasn't committing a war, he wouldn't have any problem with Israel whatsoever. Whereas Nick is like, no, I have a problem with Israel's controlling America. Like, I see 100% what he's saying. It's really not hard to grasp.
I do.
I'm sick of the tokenism.
Okay, and I'll tell you another reason why I disagree with that. And we can move on from Dave Smith because I like him, and I'm whoever I like. I don't really care. To adapt my opinions on the basis of yours, but I also just in general
So you brought it
feel
up.
like I was that person for BLM. And I'm genuine. I was totally genuine. And that was kind of my wake up call. BLM, I didn't really accept the victim narrative. Maybe a little bit like you, naive, walked into it like, oh, I'm just not going to support this thing. And I don't really want to be a Democrat. And then I dealt with the full weight of an attempted cancellation by the left at first. And kind of like she's, the token for the right. And people saying, well, they're only platforming her because she's a black person that agrees. And to some degree, maybe that's true. Like, obviously, like there is an element of tokenism. But I'm saying what I believe.
Sure.
I was saying what I believe.
And I don't doubt his sincerity. I don't doubt his sincerity at all.
So why problematize it? That's what I'm trying to get to. So it's then he's out there having to fight amongst these pro-Israel people. He's fighting the same Zionists that we are on the topic of Israel. And on top of that, he's got to deal with Nick Fuentes talking trash about him because he's like, well, this is just, who cares? If he can't help who he is. I couldn't help but I was black and disagreed with BLM. I'm just black and disagree with BLM,
Well, here's the reason why. It's a little bit irritating because Dave Smith, for all the flack that he's getting, he remains on YouTube. He's been on YouTube the whole time. He remains on Twitter. He's been on Twitter the whole time. He has bank accounts. He has payment processors. And now that people are waking up about
So is
Israel, they want to
Candace.
invite a Jewish person on to tell us we're not real anti-Semites, we're not Holocaust deniers, but maybe something's wrong with Israel. And here I am, having been banned on YouTube, been banned by banks, every streaming platform, all of it condemned, life destroyed, and people still are gatekeeping me and saying, you're a real anti-Semite. And I'm saying, well, obviously we didn't come far enough. So I don't doubt his sincerity. He's a big boy. He doesn't mind that I'm trash talking him. And I still consider him a friend, even though I've been critical of him. But we have to go a little bit further than to say something's up with the Zionists or Israel. It's not Israel. It is the Jews. And I think that Dave Smith, being a Jewish libertarian, I don't think he's ready to go that far. I don't think he is.
I want to know what you mean by that. So just so we're clear, is your perspective that if people don't platform you, it's because they don't want to go too far?
It may be that they aren't that far ideologically, but then that's my job to push them farther. And that's why I say it. That's why I say,
maybe they just disagree with you. But that's another thing. Maybe they just disagree with you.
But I'm gatekept.
Okay, but if the more important, so for me, if I care deeply about what's happening to the Palestinians, obviously, I've made a point to talk about that. And I very much see what you're speaking about, that there is this coordinated, very sinister movement. I think it operates on the left and the right, whether it's the ADL or APAC. The money is flowing to instantly cancel people, to get them fired, and it's vicious. I mean, it is dirty business. And to survive it's hard for most people to even survive it when they go through it, because they're so smeared. It's like an effective tar and feathering. And for it to happen when you were 18 is ridiculous. But at the same time, if I'm going to use my platform to speak about that, I want to make sure that I'm hosting people that can explain that to people that otherwise may not even be aware of that.
Right.
So if you're going to host, why are you sitting this person down on your show? Well, because we're having a conversation about something that's important. I can either learn from that person, right? Or I think that this person can teach something to my audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I were to host you and that was the clip that's coming out, do you think people are going to go, yeah, that just made me realize here I am, just believing that we should, I'm a normal conservative like you. You said you were 18. I like these people. And the first thing I hear Nick Fuentes say is, Dave, they're not going to think that you're a good person.
This is concern trolling. I'm sorry, but this is tone policing, and this is concern trolling.
It's not. No, it's
not. It is
it's
absolutely
not tone policing. Hold up, let's back it up because I'm going to let you speak. It is not tone policing. What I am saying.
Someday, yeah. She keeps asking him things and then just keeps talking at him. It's like, don't you think you're saying this? No, I'm trying to say what I'm saying. But yeah, it's like literally, Candice, like black people could do it for you. All the people that you was trying to, like the Brexit thing, someone could have said the same thing to you. When you say, oh, black people are this, black people are that, it's like they could, and they did, clip you and say she's not a good person, she's a traitor. So it's like, and then he's gonna say, well, don't you think people? Yeah, but so what? Nick's in the world, like, so what? That's the truth of it. It's like Nick's in a different world altogether than these people. These people that he's talking to are established, accepted media figures. Nick isn't. And it's like, everybody gangster till the gangster turns up. But yeah, we will carry on with this. Well, that was funny. I will let you talk. This someday. But yeah, sweet.